All right, one more time. Good morning, everybody. Well, I just barely got this started on time, and I got to mute for a second. I don't know what it is. As soon as I start talking, as soon as I go live, I've got a cough. And it might be different if I was still a smoker, but I'm not a smoker. So, I've been quit now for, God, at least 15 years. At least, well, 12 years, 13 years, but I've been quit for a long time. But anyhow, my older sister, she still lives up in the great old Buckeye State. And her and I talked yesterday, and she was asking me about this Amendment 1. And I'm going, she goes, well, how are you voting on Amendment 1? I'm going, what Amendment 1? She goes, well, they've got a vote coming up on Amendment 1. How are you voting on that? I'm like, I don't know anything about it. And, of course, knowing how I am about politics and such, she was surprised. And I said, well, wait a minute. Is this an Ohio amendment? And she goes, well, it's just, I don't know. I just know it has to do with the Constitution. I was like, it's got to be to the Ohio State Constitution. So I went ahead and looked up Amendment 1. And I read through it and pulled up the Columbus Dispatch article on it. And the Columbus Dispatch, be now Columbus is quite a left-leaning uh, newspaper, and it was all ranting and raving how horrible Amendment 1 was, how it was taking away the rights of the people to vote, yada yada yada. And I'm like, okay, I've got to let me look at what this Ohio Amendment 1 is. So I pulled it up, and let me share this screen with you. All right, this is from the Ohio Secretary of State's website. Proposed constitutional amendment. This here's to the state's constitution. Elevating the standards to qualify for an initiated constitutional amendment and to pass a constitutional amendment. Proposed by a joint resolution of the General Assembly to amend sections 1B, 1E, 1G of Article 2, sections 1 and 3 of Article 9 of the Constitution of the State of Ohio. A majority yes vote is necessary for the amendment to pass. 50% plus one of those who vote. Okay. And it's kind of ironic that this is given the bill itself, okay, the amendment itself. This proposed amendment would require that any proposed amendment to the now these here are for proposed amendments, voter initiatives. A lot of states call them voter initiatives. They go out, somebody comes up with a brilliant idea. Hey, this needs to be a amendment to our Constitution, and they go out and get a bunch of signatures and say, all right, we got enough signatures now. Let's put this on the ballot and see what everybody in the state thinks about it. These aren't for amendments proposed by anything done through the Congress. All right. So require that any, okay, well, actually would for any further amendments. Require that any proposed amendment to the Constitution of the State of Ohio receive the approval of at least 60% of eligible voters. voting on the proposed amendment. All right. Require that any initiative petition filed on or after January 1st, 2024, with the Secretary of State proposing to amend the Constitution of the state of Ohio be signed with at least 5% of the electors of each county based upon the total vote in that county for governor in the last preceding election. Specify that additional signatures may not be added to the initiative petition proposing to amend the Constitution of the state of Ohio that is filed with the Secretary of State on or after January 1st, 2024, proposing to amend the Constitution of the state of Ohio. All right, so 3 basic parts. So let's take a look at the first part. Require that any proposed amendment to the Constitution of the state of Ohio receive approval of at least 60% of eligible voters. All right. Who voted on the proposed amendment. Now that's important. All right. Not 60% of everybody who's eligible to vote, just those who actually voted on that amendment. And as we all know, not every voter, every person who is eligible to vote actually gets out there and votes. Hey, morning, Badger, how you doing today? Not every person who is eligible to vote gets out there and actually votes. It's a sad fact of life. I wish more people got out to vote, but I also wished that when the people went out to vote, they actually took time to read the bills and understand what the bill is about. Do research and not listen to the media. Okay? Not listen to what the media has to say about it. But read the bill itself. Look up sources. Now then, okay, and I need to make certain that, okay, I do, whoop, no, I don't want that. Dang it. I want that open, that, and I want all messages. Here we go. I have no problem with requiring a supermajority of people to change an amendment. In fact, I think that's a good thing. I think that's the way it should be. To change the Constitution to the state or to the country requires supermajority, not simple majority. Changing a constitution is difficult. It should be difficult. Should not be a simple thing done on the whim. It should require that a large number of people, a large percentage of people agree. Because as we've seen in the past, you can get simple majority of people to pass anything. And it really is a problem. So yeah, let's go. I've got no problem with the 60% of eligible voters who voted on the amendment to make that the threshold. I've got no problem with that. to require that any initiative filed on or after, yada, 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 to be signed by at least 5% of the electors in each county based upon the total vote for governor in the last preceding election. All right. Currently, Ohio's, I think, it's got 88 counties. Currently, they only have to get 5% in 44 counties. Well, they can go to 44 counties and there's, skip half the state. Now, skip half the state and get their signatures. Why not make certain that you've got. Oh, hey, morning, Ramen. Why not make certain that you've got support in every county? And 5% is not that big of a hurdle to reach. Now, when you get into, especially when you're in the more urbanized and large city counties, around Dayton, around Columbus, around Cleveland, around Cincinnati. Now you get out into the more rural areas, depending on what the amendment is, it may be a bit harder to get support for a liberal or for an amendment that's going to hurt the farmers. That's going to hurt these individuals who live in the smaller communities. But if you can't get 5%, just 5%, 5 out of 100 people to support an amendment in that county, in every county, yeah, that's a decent hill to have to climb, but I've got no problem with it. And okay, the last part of this. Now, this is the only part that I'm iffy on. I'm iffy on. Specify that additional signatures may not be added to an initiative petition proposing an amendment to the Constitution as filed with the Secretary of State on or after January 24th. All right. What all that gobbledygook means is simply this. When you turn in your list of signatures, that's it. No more. You're done. And when the Secretary of State goes through and they validate these signatures, and they start throwing signatures out because they're not legal signatures for one reason or another, you can't go back and get more legal signatures. You can't correct these. You're done. That one, currently I believe they're given 10 days to go back and correct them. So on that one, I do see. I could be persuaded that part should or should not be there, or even be there but differently. Instead of 10 days, they're given 5 business days or 5 calendar days. I could see that go either way. I mean, do you really? But then that does put an onus on the people pushing this amendment to make certain that they only get legal signatures. Which I Again, if you're wanting to make the change to the amendment to the state constitution, uh, why should why depend on, face it, we've seen a lot of these signature counters, collectors get out there. We've read stories about them, heard news reports. They get out there and they falsify signatures. They buy signatures. They get illegals to sign. They get those who aren't registered, those who aren't residents of the state. You know, to sign just to get numbers up because they get paid by the signature. So, excuse me. So, yeah, I mean, this definitely puts the onus on the people wanting to make this amendment that they're only collecting legal signatures. So the first two sections of this amendment, I've got absolutely zero issue with. I wish Florida had this. I wish Florida had had this for years. All right. So, what are the amendments for? The people arguing for. Okay, and give me just a second here. Okay, thank you, tall person. Good morning. All right, so let me go back over that. I had to cough there, and my mouse is double clicking for some reason. Okay, get back over here. All right, so like I said, I had not read this portion of this prior to just now. When I was discussing this with my sister yesterday, it was simply discussing it, reading the top part. I fully agree, elevating the standard to 60%. I fully agree with this. People will ensure that it has widespread support, not just a few people, not just 50% plus one. The Because changing a constitutional amendment, making a change to the Constitution, state or federal, should be a difficult thing to do. Should not be able to be done on a whim. What we've already learned that lesson once with the prohibition. And then they turned around and had to repeal it by empowering people across the state. By requiring signatures from voters in every county, special interests will no longer be able to cherry pick where they gather signatures. Exactly. You have to go visit every county. You have to get 5% from every county. I agree. Boom. 5% should not be that difficult of a number of signatures to gather. And eliminating the second bites, again, just like I said before, this definitely puts the onus on the individuals that pushing the amendment to make certain that they're only gathering legal signatures. Okay. So yeah, that is definitely a good thing. I've got no problem with that whatsoever. Now let's see what the people who are against this have got to say. This amendment would destroy citizen-driven ballot initiatives as we know them, upending our right to make decisions directly impact our lives, takes away our freedom by undermining the sacred principle of one person, one vote, and destroys majority rule in Ohio. No, it doesn't. You're changing the Constitution to the state. It should not be an easy matter. And it should be more than 50% plus one. Last year, Ohio politicians eliminated August special elections, saying interest groups often manipulatively put issues on the ballot in August because they know fewer Ohioans are paying attention. And yet here we are voting in August on just one question: should Ohio permanently abolish the basic constitutional right of majority rule? No, majority rule is mob rule. At one time, I can destroy, I mean, any thinking person can destroy majority rule. All right. Any thinking person can destroy that by simply saying, at one time, the majority of Americans felt slavery was legal. Slavery was a good thing. At one time, the majority of Americans felt women should never be able to vote. At one time, the majority of Americans felt women should not be allowed to work outside the home once they were married. At one time, the majority of the country felt that women should not attend college. At one time, women could not go to medical school. All right, majority rule isn't always right. Special interests and corrupt politicians say yes, they don't like voters making decisions, so they're trying to rewrite the rules to get what they want, even more power. Where are they getting more power here? I don't. That to me, that's a spurious argument. But our democracy, yeah, exactly, Badger. 9 out of 10 people approve of this lynching, right? Issue one as majority rule means putting 40% of the voters can block any issue, putting 40% of the voters in charge of decision making for the majority. No, that is on constitutional amendments. The state's constitution only. All right. This has nothing to do with anything else going on the ballot. Constitution only. but permanently undo constitutional protections that have been in place for over 100 years to check politicians' power at the ballot box. It's not the politicians' power that is needing to be checked. It's the special interest. And I've said this before. And I've just fallen in the same trap myself about, and the sideline here about special interest. NRA is a special interest, and I support them. GOA, special interest group, and I support them. Special interest groups are often groups that formulate around a specific issue. Special interest groups only get a bad name when you're talking about an interest group that you don't like. So, issue one takes away our freedoms. It destroys citizen ballot initiatives as we know them, guaranteeing only wealthy special interests could advance changes to our Constitution. Again, that's a lie. That's a lie. Anybody can advance changes to the Constitution. You all just have to follow the same rules. Issue one applies to all issues. If this amendment passed, it would pass to every single amendment on any issue Ohioans would ever vote on. You name it, just 40% of the voters will decide. No, you mean 41% of the voters decide. Because if it gets 60%, it passes. So it takes 41% for it to fail. Duh. Simple math there, people. Think it out. Consider what you're talking about. Simple math, If you have to take 60%, if you don't reach 60%, then you've got 59 points. So all it takes is 40 so it takes 40.1%. As I said, I've got no problems with this. But the scare tactics, the scare tactics, the people who are against this amendment, honest dialogue. Why is that so hard for us to reach? Why is it so hard to have an honest dialogue about positions, about issues? Why do you have to? I mean, yeah, why do you have to throw out lies? Why do you have to sit there and say and distort things in order to get things your way? And again, I mean, both sides do it. You've got the pro-gun side do it. You got the anti-gun side do it. The pro-gun side sits there and says, pro-gun owners, pro-Second Amendment people, you can't come and take our guns. The ones who want to come and take our guns sit there and say, but it's for our children. Look at how many people your guns are killing. Well, my guns aren't killing anybody. It's that person's guns who've done that. Just like my cars didn't take anybody's life. My fork didn't. The only life my fork is going to take is my life. If I decide not to wear a seatbelt, it's only my life that's at risk. But then you hear the nanny staters again. I'm going to use divisive terms here. The people who are sitting there looking out for everyone's best interest. Now, I've got no problem. Again, coming back to it and looking at this amendment, again, the only part of it I'm could be convinced either way on is the ability to go and repair signatures. I could be convinced to give somebody give them a couple of days to go and repair signatures that get thrown out. But does anybody? I mean, I wish I had Jack was on uh, that I could bring this up with him and get his views on it rather than just mine. I mean, he's still a Buckeye, or get Satsu. He's still a Buckeye. I haven't lived in Ohio since 1978. God, 19 it's not even oh man, 1978. Wow. But anyway, so I went over that whole thing with my sister yesterday, and we had an interesting discussion over it. And like I said, uh, she found out why by the time we got done talking as to why I only stream when the wife isn't home. Because I went, uh, I mean, pretty much like I did today, almost 30 minutes talking this one issue. And that was even more uh, off the cuff than today's was. Because at least today I knew what the bill was, and I had read the Ohio Dispatches or the Cincinnati Dispatches article on it. So, but anyway, if y'all are this Ohio Amendment issue 1, if y'all are interested in it and reading all the crap that they've got on there, it's real easy to find. It's the big talk of the state right now. So to completely change uh, horses in midstream of this stream, let's talk about the U.S. women's national soccer team. Uh, let's see here. No, they're not whining over more money. That's 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1. Of the entire American team during the playing of the national anthem, only 5 of the players had their hand on their heart, and only one was singing along with the national anthem. Only one player. A lot of people were rather upset about this. These women are overseas representing the United States, and only 5 put their hands over their hearts. 6 of them stood there with their hands behind their backs. Yep, no hands over the over half the team stood there with no hands over their hearts. And see, none of the little girls here in the front had their hands over their hearts either. And only one was even came close to mouthing the words to the national anthem. Meanwhile, they were playing against the Vietnamese team that every one of their players, oh, these little kids are not evidently representative of the country. Okay, my mistake. All right. Meanwhile, the Vietnamese team that they're playing against, every single one of them full throw heartedly sang their country's national anthem. Ramen, and again, I'm not for forcing anybody to show respect to the national anthem. I'm not for anyone forcing anyone to show respect for the flag. Now, according to the article, only three that there were 2 other players that sang along. I didn't see it. I only saw one of them whose lips were moving, but that's just what I saw. Okay. But you would think that these people would understand that if they're out there on the national team, that if they're out there on the national team representing the country, show a little bit of respect. If Badger, that the love it or leave it type. There are days I full hardly there are some people I agree with you. If you don't like this country, leave it. Go find a country that you'd much rather. The people like Obama who said they want to fundamentally transform the country. You don't fundamentally transform anything that you love because you can't fundamentally change something that you want to preserve. You can't take a painting and fundamentally change it and still have the same painting. You can't take a book and fundamentally change the characters of the story in the book and still have the same story. You may be able to make a few changes here and there to improve the story, but you can't fundamentally change the story and still have the same story. Now, the U.S. girls women's team did win their first team 3-0. This is Vietnam's first time playing in the World Championships. What we got here? Badger, and for the most part, I agree with you. A lot of these people would be probably happier in another country. At least they claim they would be. Let's not forget here, like the article says, Megan Rapahoe, or was it Megan the Rappin' Ho, knelt during the Star Spangled Banner. Uh, and oh yeah, she's claiming here she'll never sing the national anthem again. In 2021, only one member of the Nationals team didn't kneel during the national anthem. I just have a problem with a team that's supposed to be representing our country disrespecting our country at the same time. You can't. How do, how can you go out there and say you want to represent our country and then disrespect it? I really don't understand this mindset. And are they getting on these teams just so they can get out there and raise the ruckus? Do this kind of crap so that they can, be the next person to make the social media, to be the ones out there getting the interviews, the uh, excuse me, getting out there and getting internet famous because they got talked about, and they're going to get interviewed by all the left-wing news sites, and they'll be on CNN and MSNBC talking about, their why didn't you do this? And what is it about America you want to see change before you will again sing the national anthem or feel proud to be an American? Again, I've never been of the belief that, not since I've been an adult anyway, that a person should be forced to say the Pledge of Allegiance. That person should be forced to sing the national anthem. All right, because you've got the freedom not to. You've got the freedom not to say the pledge. You've got the freedom not to sing the national anthem. But if you're out representing the country, shouldn't you have the basic decent respect for everyone, for your country, that you're there, that you supposedly fought hard to represent, that you want to put on a good face for it, that you want to show respect for that country? I mean, why do you want to represent a country you don't like? Why do you want to get out there on the national stage and represent a country you don't like? Unless you're just doing it for the dollars, you're doing it for the fame. You're not doing it because you respect the country, because because you really want to represent the country. You're just doing it out there to get the paycheck. And then at that point, it's nothing more than a job for you. I'm just at a loss as to why people would do this. And this is one of the times where I wish I had other people on here to where they would, we could have this conversation going back and forth, somebody else's ideas. Because like I said, I'm more concerned, again, it's the only, well, it's not I'm concerned, it's the only thought I have about it is these people don't actually care about the country. They don't care about representing the country. They're in this for the dollars. And if they're only in there for the dollar and the personal glory and such, hey, morning, Wiley. If they're only in there for the dollars and the personal glory, they're not in there to represent the country, then should they be on the team? I would rather have a team lose that was, and every member of that team being proud of their country, than have a bunch of people who couldn't give a tinker's damn about the country and win. But again, that is just me and my opinion. And that 2 cents, and hell, that 2 cents won't even buy you a cup of coffee anymore. You need at least $1.50 to go with it to cover the tax. Okay. you know, Hey, morning, Johnny. Let's see. It didn't start off being for the dollars, but they're opportunists. Yes, they are opportunists. If they are successful, they realize they have people's attention, and the dominoes start to fall. Well, yeah, because I mean, Megan, the rapping hoe there. Uh, she's got more. She's making her living more money off of everything she does than what she makes from soccer. So here's a fun article I found this morning. That it has to do with Barbies. Miss Barbie, the Barbie movie, and the stupidity of Michigan State Police delete the Barbie post, highlighting different career paths with the Michigan State Police. The Michigan State Police issued a statement Thursday after deleting a Barbie related post showing a Barbie in a blue uniform standing in front of a police car with the caption, "When you join the MSP, you can be anything." The post included a link to various positions with the Michigan State Police. This Barbie is ready to serve the state of Michigan. When you join the MSP, you can be anything from a trooper to a forensic scientist, a motor carrier officer to a pilot. The possibilities are endless. Explore your future career path with MSP today. I don't see anything wrong. I don't see anything wrong with that post. It's ain't there's nothing. Somebody tell me what's wrong with that post. I don't see it. Only saw one of them. I'm okay. Oh man, what happened there? Yeah, tall person. You're well. Then you got me on that one. I remember that little fact and forgot about it. After deleting the social media post, MSP issued a statement saying it removed the post about Barbie out of respect for their female members. The MSP social media team values the contributions of our female members and our respect for them. We've removed our previous post about Barbie. Oh my gosh. Yeah, stupidity. You know, everybody and their brother is trying to make some sort of connection, women's empowerment and Barbie. Because Barbie's been everything. She's been a scientist. She's been a pilot. She's been a CEO. She's held every imaginable glorified job that there is. All right, you don't find the housemaker Barbie anymore, but you got beauty model or model Barbie. You've got everything else out there. So what the I don't understand. Well, you're right about that. She hadn't been that yet, Johnny. But she has. Well, there. I saw somebody put up a picture of Barbie with a black eye and posting her as a police officer's wife. But now that's another story altogether. OnlyFans Barbie. That's good. Uh oh. My mouse just fell again. Can I get it up here without closing anything? Well, I drop this mouse at least once a day on the stream here. Leading up to the release of Barbie movie on Friday, other Michigan officials and departments shared similar posts using Barbie to highlight the different career paths. On Thursday, the Michigan State Parks, Trailways, and Waterways shared a post on Twitter with a link to jobs for the Department of Natural Resources. This Barbie's a park ranger, so she literally can do everything: electrical, plumbing, light construction, driving a tractor, hospitality, fire making, landscaping, conflict resolution, so much more. Be like Barbie. Oh, yes. Isn't that so cute? Then the governor, Gretchen Whitless. This Barbie is the 49th governor of the great state of Michigan. And just like Barbie, fuchsia is my power color. I'm committed to fighting for a state where every Michigander, no matter their background, can thrive. So why? Okay, I'm confused. Why did the Michigan State Police feel they needed to pull their Barbie post down? The governor's got hers up. Fish and Game's got theirs up. Yeah, I feel bad for him too. There, tall person. Oh no, a furry Barbie. Oh no. Bottom growth Barbie. Oh. Milo Stewart started an OnlyFans. Oh, that's scary, Johnny. That thought scares me. So anyway, Michigan, I don't know what you did to your state police to cause them to do that, but yeah. If Fury shows up, I've got a story here for Fury. If not, then I'll bypass it. So, all right. The, the other day, the the other day, the House was holding a hearing on paying for gender reassignment surgeries. Should tax dollars be used? The Republicans in the House are saying not only no, but hell no. No tax dollars should ever be used to pay for gender reassignment, especially for children. She's in the top 10%. Oh. After what she's done to herself. Yeah, you're probably right about that, Johnny. All right. So this woman, okay, I'm getting ready. I'm stealing part of a Fox News because I could not find any other videos on this in the short time I had this morning. Uh, so I'm stealing part of a Fox News broadcast. So if I get a strike on this and I got pulled down off YouTube, I'll have it downloaded and up on Rumble. All right. So let's embiggen that, and here we go.
Congresswoman Kat Cammack joins us now with more. Good morning to you, Congresswoman.
Hey, good morning, Ainsley.
Good morning. So they're debating whether or not our tax dollars will go to children's hospitals for these gender reassignment surgeries. You're against that. You wanted to play a video of an expert who says it's basically experimental at this point, and the Democrats walked out. Why didn't they want to see this video?
Well, Ainsley, I think it's because it proves exactly what we've been saying all along, that this is experimental. This is, I want to say, almost akin to a Frankenstein experiment on children.
Have you ever seen, and I'm not going to show them, you guys can go out and dig it up on your own, the artificial organs being grown on young women's arms and legs as part of their gender reassignment. I'm telling you, it is absolutely disgusting. Yeah, tall person. Yeah, these things, they do not resemble anything that they're supposed to resemble.
Children, there is no consent that you can give as an adolescent to change your anatomy, particularly when in this video the surgeon himself admits that these kids have in many cases not had their first sexual experiences, and how do they affirm what things are supposed to feel like and look like when they just don't know. They talk at length in this interview, in this video, that things in the operating room never stay the way that they actually are going.
You can see all the Democrats here walking out of the hearing room because how dare you bring facts into this? We're supposed to be talking about making these people feel better. How dare you bring facts into a discussion on feelings? Johnny, I'm telling you, you don't want to go look at it.
Gonna be it's no peer-reviewed research, that it's just trying to figure it out in the moment. They're using robots taking the intestinal and stomach lining of these kids' bodies to create canals, and it's a giant experiment at taxpayer expense on kids.
It's a Frankensteinian creation. It's absolutely disgusting. And to do it on children. Remember, these kids, it is illegal for them to even get a tattoo. You cannot give parental permission for these children to get a tattoo in any state at some of these ages. But they want to physically deform these children for life, regardless of what the parents have to say. It's not mouths that they're creating there, Ramen. It's an opening much lower on the torso.
That's your choice. But these kids haven't even gone through robots taking the intestinal and stomach lining of these kids' bodies to create canals, and it's a giant experiment at taxpayer expense on kids that really are just trying to figure themselves out. Now, if you're an adult, that's your choice. But these kids haven't even gone through puberty in some cases. So essentially, Republicans are trying to address the physician shortage, which by 2034 is going to be 125,000 doctors short.
Yeah, Ramen, you're right. If you can't say it, but it's just absolutely disgusting here. And I mean, I really don't know this woman. I mean, she's from the other side of the state from me, so I don't know that much about her.
By saying we're going to focus on the real issues here and addressing.
The real issues isn't that the doctor shortage. The real issues is, should we be spending tax dollars on permanently deforming children, mutilating children like this? That is what the real issue is, not the doctor shortage.
This physician shortage, radical Democrats said no, not unless we include gender affirming surgery for adolescents.
Okay.
It's crazy.
Congresswoman, we have a clip of what you showed. Y'all took a vote. Republicans won. The video was shown in front of this committee. The Democrats chose to walk out and never saw this. But here is what was played. This is what you wanted them to see.
Those of us that do a fairly high volume of
This is a doctor. Are you surprised that this doctor does a high volume of gender reassignment surgeries? Yeah, you're right. You're right. It is butchery.
gender affirming surgery. We've maybe done a handful of pubertally suppressed adolescents as a field, and no one's published on it yet. OHSU we're just putting our first series together as we're kind of learning and figuring out what works. But it's really changing things.
So why?
Oh, did you catch that?
That do a fairly high volume of gender affirming surgery. We've maybe done a
handful of puberty suppressed adolescents. Adolescents, people. These aren't puberty suppressed adults. These are still adolescents, children. Why? You should be in jail. You and every doctor that has taken a knife to a child to do this should be in jail. There's no two ifs, ands, or buts about it. You should be in jail.
But it's really changing things.
So why don't the Democrats want to hear everyone's opinion, the experts? This is a physician that does these surgeries, and they didn't want to hear what he had to say. But when we're talking about our children, isn't it important to hear all sides and then they can make a decision?
Why don't they want to hear it? Because it goes against their narrative. Because he is saying the quiet part out loud that they want to say that that's not happening. That's not happening to children. We're not mutilating children up. Yes, you are mutilating children. I'll go for under the jail. I'll go there.
Absolutely. And if I was a constituent in any one of those Democrats' district, I would be asking and demanding answers. If you are going to take a science position, a data-backed position on whether or not to use billions of taxpayer dollars on these types of...
All right. The Democrats just walked out. They didn't want to hear the truth. They didn't want to hear what was going on. So they just walk out. Where's the blowback by the major media? Where's the blowback on it by the media? There is none. John, I have seen so much of these, videos of what they've done to children here that exactly. And you don't hear from the people that are the women that are trying to go, detransition, and talking about how, they'll never, they've been rendered unable to ever give birth. They've been rendered, they're losing their hair. They're going, their voices will never be feminine again. Their bony, they're, they'll have facial hair for the rest of their lives. Well, good point, Ramen. Good point. The form of entertainment. It's just absolutely disgusting. All of it is. Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, Ramen or Johnny. The boys are, and the only reason why they're, being left their penis is so that they have something to turn into a vaginal canal later on. Something they've got to keep open. And as long as they're on puberty suppressants, it's not always going to be a micro penis. So yeah, I mean, we are going to lose an entire generation of children to this crap, and there's nothing we're going to be able to do about it. And the countries that started this mess, they're backing away from it. They're not doing it anymore. Johnny, I don't like missing your shows. I wish I could catch more of them. But I'm glad that's one I'm sort of glad I missed. Mm. I just get I just so thoroughly disgusted with what these people going on. Up, up. You like the groan. Ramen likes the growl. Y'all just like eliciting these reactions out of me sometimes. So, uh, let's see here. You know, since we went there, uh, this is an opinion article. So I'm not going to go. I scrap that opinion article because opinions are like a-holes. Everybody's got one and they all stink. Where did my. Okay. So. There's been since the movie Oppenheimer has come out, there's been sort of a resurgence in the interest of the Manhattan Project. Oh. And you get the usual suspects out there being idiots. Ida B. Bay Wells, responding to somebody discussing about Hiroshima and Nagasaki. You're the one who poorly understands history. This is a check marked. Well, she's been check marked under the old system. They dropped the bomb when they knew surrender was coming because they spent all this money developing it and to prove it was worth it. Propaganda is not history, my friend. We only bombed Nagasaki and Hiroshima because we spent the money developing the bomb. That's it. And we wanted to prove that it was worth it. Now, I read the book by Colonel Tibbets and Enola Gay decades ago. And one of the things brought up in that was we only had the two bombs, Fat Man and Little Boy. We dropped the first one on Hiroshima, dropped the second one on Nagasaki. Now, Japanese may or may not have surrendered after Hiroshima. But what the question was is why did we drop the second bomb on Nagasaki? Yeah, Badger, who's historically illiterate? And the thing was about dropping the second bomb, as I read it, as I understood it, was to prove to the world that we had a second one. And if we got that it wasn't just we only had one bomb, we had at least two. And if we got two, who's to say we don't have three or more? And that was basically aimed at Russia. Because we already knew Russia wasn't our friend. Well, she ended up this Ida Bay Whales. She ended up deleting this post. And let's see here. This is, I appreciate this thread. I deleted that tweet because I am not an expert. But I do find it strange that you don't acknowledge I didn't just get this from nowhere. Now, conspiracy theories come from everywhere, and American haters will find any excuse, any reason to come up with some kind of excuse, some kind of reason to throw more hate, more lies, more whatever against the country. I didn't come up and get this from out of nowhere. There are some who argue what I tweeted played a role, including some of the sources you cite. This woman leaves. Now, of course, she's the 1619 Project rag, hag. She's an American hater. She doesn't like us. But she wants to get out there and say, well, we only did it because of this. No, we did. Dropping those bombs ended the war. Exactly. Yeah, she hates America and all white people are racist. Yeah, you got her. This woman is a real work of art. But we unfortunately we got put up with people like her. Again, everybody is allowed to have their own opinions. I just hate it when I see people like her who are held up as being opinion makers come out with nonsensical opinions that aren't well researched, that aren't based in fact. Uh, let's see what I had something else here I wanted to bring up real quick. Oh, and this is just nonsense one here. All right, you go to another country. Americans. When you go to another country, remember things. All right. One thing, of course, I'll pack half the clothes and twice the money. Two, remember you're not in the United States anymore. Our Constitution and our laws don't protect you when you're in another country. When you go to another country, you are now the outsider. You're nothing special. And if you're a racist and you go to another country, you can't stand there and berate somebody and yell and scream and stomp your feet and get away with it and use racial slurs and not expect to get arrested. Johnny will never have Shane back. Well, not not like what you want. But no, when you go to another country, just be be respectful. Remember, you are not. And you're wondering, okay, all this makes sense. To people like you and I, all this makes sense. We don't, especially, I mean, I lived overseas for a while, for 3 years. I know you don't go overseas and raise hell out of other states. I order a lot of my stuff online anymore because I can't find it in the stores anymore. You know, um, I went to buy a birthday present for my wife. I looked at I knew what I wanted to get her. I looked at many different stores to see what they were selling it at, who had the best price and all. Found found it at three different stores. I looked at all three stores, found one that was about $25 cheaper. So, hey, being a man who likes to conserve his cash when he can, I go to the first store. Oh, I'm sorry, sir, but yes, we do have that item. We just don't carry it in stock. You can order it. We can have it for you next week. I need it in 3 days. Well, I'm sorry, sir, but we just don't carry we don't carry that item in stock. It's a special order only. Your website doesn't say special order only. So it says an item you keep on stock. Well, we just don't keep that on stock here. I go to the second store. I get the exact same thing. I go to the third store and hear the exact same thing again. So I'm standing there talking to the guy at customer service, and I pull out my cell phone, and I pull it up, see it on Amazon, and I can get it in 2 days for the same price. Right there in front of them. Boom. I ordered it. They were not happy. I said, I came here to spend my money with you. Your website says you carry this item here. But now I'm spending my money with Amazon. Hey, Lazo, how you doing this morning? But anyway, back to this original story that I was looking at. Here we go. Let me share this here. Breaking: Texas TikToker Sassy Trucker is trapped in Dubai and faces 2 years in prison for screaming at car rental worker. She didn't get her way in Dubai. Started breaking out well, you can imagine. You can imagine how this conversation went when she didn't get what she wanted. And she started acting like she was in the United States and being able to push her grievance card weight around. And she's now in jail. At least last I saw yesterday afternoon, she's still in jail. Oh, yeah, but see, the problem is Raman, she gets away with it in the United States. She's so used to being able to do it and pushing her internet fame around and other things around, her grievance cards, that she just by habit fell into her usual, and oh my God, I'm in jail. Much like a certain basketball player. Oh my God, I'm in jail in another country for doing something that's totally illegal here, and I should have known was illegal here. So yeah, there's exactly, Johnny. They're not there is no protected class in Dubai as we have them here in the United States. Their left wingers would be the considered radical right in the United States. Oh, I forgot about this article. I meant to bring this up and I forgot about it under previous. We talked about why the media is the way it is when it comes to pushing some of their issues that they're pushing. I meant to pull this out earlier. Former ABC News producer James Gordon Meek has pled guilty to transporting and possessing child sexual abuse material. Meek once bragged about having a toddler girl. Of course, he's reached a plea agreement. ABC. CNN's got theirs going in for jail. ABC's got theirs. When's ABC or NBC and CBS going to have theirs? How about MSNBC? Is there any wonder the media pushes their, I'm going, their trans and everything else, the, if you speak out against kiddie porn in schools, you're evil, you're this, you're that. So no, there are plenty of things going on in the behind the scenes here in these news departments and such. You're and Johnny, and it's not just Democrats. We got there are a few Republicans. If you told me if it were to come out that they were that way, that they were doing it, I would not be. I would be saddened but not surprised. But at least the majority of the Republican Party is trying to stop it. The ones we've got elected, at least the majority of them are trying to stop the nonsense. Unfortunately, though, there's we all know who the media is supporting on this. Okay, let's see here. And what did I had something here in uh we're going we're going to listen to a Democrat that was brought up before the House committee. This Jim Jordan's committee on federal censorship. Now, this will make all of us angry. Listening to this woman. Get the volume cranked up there.
Utah's recognized for 5 minutes.
And spare Ashkenazi Jews and Chinese people. That is different
Time
than
belongs to the
any of those
gentleman
studies.
from Utah.
Thank you, claiming my time. Mr. Kennedy, you've had some accusations thrown at you today. I'm going to ask my questions briefly and give you a chance to respond to that at the end of my time here. Ms. Wiley, if I could talk to you, and I know maybe you're busy, with something else there, but do you trust the government to determine what facts and views the American people should be exposed to?
What facts and views do you trust the government to tell the American people what facts and views we as Americans should be exposed to? It should be a very simple answer. Not only no, but hell no. It's not up to the government to tell us what to say or what we can or cannot hear, what we can and cannot be exposed to as far as facts and views.
I trust that we have a process whereby we can interrogate what we hear and learn from the government, but
I trust that we have a process.
Views the American people should be exposed to.
I trust that we have a process whereby we can interrogate what we hear and learn from the government, but certainly I expect the government to share facts and information.
That wasn't my question.
You hear this woman? There's a process that we can question what the government tells us, but she trusts the government to tell us what we need to know. Back that up just a little bit.
What we hear and learn from the government, but certainly I expect the government to share facts and information.
That wasn't my question. I didn't.
That wasn't the question she was asked. Do you trust the government to censor us? Oh, Johnny, this gets good.
Didn't say share facts and information. I said, do you trust the government to determine what facts and views the American people should be exposed to and which ones they should not?
Well, I think I'm struggling with the question because that is not the facts of the case.
How can you be struggling with that question, woman? Yes or no? Do you trust the government to be able to determine what facts that we should be able to be told?
Should be exposed to and which ones they should not?
Well, I think I'm struggling with the question because that is not the facts of the case in Missouri. In Missouri versus
I'm not talking
Biden,
about Missouri. I'm not talking about
is
Missouri.
what I was
Hey.
hearing.
I'm not talking about Missouri. This is a very simple question. Do you trust the government to determine what facts and views the American people are exposed to?
I am not aware of any action of the government
Okay,
that
I'm going
tells
to take
the American public what facts they should be exposed to.
You're not.
Yeah, has she been living under a damn rock for the past year and a half? Oh, you already listened to this?
Aware of that?
No, I am not.
Oh my gosh, where have you lived for the last 3 years?
In the United States of
Okay,
America.
let me ask you, China suppresses free speech. Is that a good thing?
No, of course not.
Iran, mullahs there suppress free speech. Is that a good thing?
No, of course
Vladimir Putin suppresses. Is that a good thing?
not. No, we all
So
agree
can
we
we
should not
agree then,
suppress free
we
speech.
agree then that the government government leaders should not suppress free speech? Do
Oh,
you agree with that?
that's a different question. Yes, it is unconstitutional.
What do you mean it's a different question? No, it's not a different question. It is the question. Should the government be telling us what we can and cannot hear? It's the same question, you stupid woman. Don't try to parse it into something it's not.
How
For the
is it a
government
di-
to pass laws that would abridge free speech. That's
or-
The government. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yes, it is unconstitutional
How
for the
is it a
government
di-
to pass laws that would abridge free speech.
Okay,
That's the First
or
Amendment.
not pass laws, but to create pressure that would suppress free speech. They don't. Vladimir Putin doesn't pass a law.
Yes,
He exerts his force and influence to suppress free
Yeah.
speech.
Yes, the case law says that the government cannot coerce private entities.
And we agree that's a bad idea, don't we?
Yes, and I would absolutely agree when
We
Donald
agree
Trump-
then the government
when Donald
shouldn't-
Trump
wait,
threatened social
we-
media companies
Hang on,
with
hang on,
federal
hang on,
regulation
hang on.
shutdown, that was coercion.
That's not my question.
Oh, I know, but I think it was consistent to show that we
Here's my
agree.
question.
She's trying to go back to Trump. She's trying to go back and blame something on Trump. Did you hear that?
media companies.
Hang on,
with
hang on,
Federal
hang on,
regulation
hang on.
shutdown, that was coercion.
That's not my question.
Oh, I know, but I think it was consistent to show that we
Here's my
agree.
question for you. We agree the government
And what Trump was saying is when a news agency intentionally lies about someone, they should be held accountable. There's a difference between saying that, oh yeah, you're exactly right, Sean. And she's trying to bring up when Trump was trying to get through that when a media to lower the standard that the media is held to when it comes to actually lying about individuals.
shouldn't be responsible for restricting views that the American people are exposed to. We agree on that, right? You wouldn't answer it at first,
Oh,
but it's clear that you do agree with that.
That's a different question.
Okay, so to my question, do you agree with it or not?
I agree that the government should not violate our Constitution.
Do you agree with my question?
Your question is
Should the government
whether or not
determine, this is so
No,
simple.
it is not so simple.
No, I'm going to ask it one time, and it is so simple. A seventh grader could understand this question. Should the government be responsible for the views and the facts that the American people are exposed to?
The problem I have is that I don't
Okay,
know
I'm
of
gonna say
any
that- I'm
facts
gonna
in
say
which
that
the
you're unable
government
to-
tells us
I'm
what
going to
to
say that
believe.
you're
Okay. So again, woman, where have you been living under what rock have you been living under? Because you say you've been living in the United States, fine. Then have you been totally out of touch with every bit of news media over the past 3 years? And everything that's come out after Elon bought Twitter and the Twitter files that were released? Yeah, she's had her head stuck in the sand. You're exactly right.
able to answer a question, which for me is fairly shocking as an American citizen. Let me ask you now then, having concluded that you're unaware of suppression of free speech in the last several years, what about, for
That's not
example,
actually what I said, but thank you.
do you think it was appropriate for the FBI to pressure private companies to censor and take down posts that the government disagreed with? Was that appropriate? I'll give you an example that you were unaware of. I'm glad you're aware of it now. Was that appropriate for the government to do that?
Sir, the only thing that is appropriate for the government to do is what it is lawfully allowed to do, both under the Constitution and the laws of this country,
Which is?
which is to conduct its criminal investigations appropriately to our laws and to our
So
policy.
they didn't have the ability then to go to these private companies and to say they can't.
There are
There
instances in which, in order to protect the integrity of a criminal prosecution, they may ask. Sometimes news agencies and others
certainly
do
agree with
withhold.
that. Was that the case here? Was there any criminal prosecutions involved with these cases? Not that I'm
There were
aware of.
criminal investigations are not prosecutions.
criminal
And also
investigations?
the integrity of criminal.
Were there any criminal investigations regarding these examples?
Which examples are those, sir?
For example, anything regarding the Hunter Biden laptop?
Well, there are lots of things that have been said in public media about Hunter Biden's laptop.
Yeah, how Hunter Biden's laptop. Yeah, it's amazing how all the government come out and said that this was a lie and that was and this and that, and all the intelligence experts come out and said, yeah, this is just Russian misinformation coming out. The Russians want Trump to be elected, therefore this is all Russian misinformation. Ladies and gents, these are the idiots that Democrats are bringing up as witnesses to bolster their side. Now, I know y'all know these because you're like me. You live, eat, and breathe this stuff. You know what happens up there in Congress. Like earlier, Democrats didn't want to hear the truth from the very lips of a man who mutilates children. They didn't want to hear that. So what do? They get up and walk out of the hearing. Then they bring up witnesses like this to testify on their behalf. People who just distort everything they can possibly distort. So, yeah. Good news, bad news, it's all the same. It never changes. Yeah, she's been mainlining something, Sean. Johnny, I think she's been in the leftist bubble so many years that she doesn't know anything else. Yeah, it is all part of the script, Johnny. You're right about that. And, and I hate having to keep saying it, on the off chance somebody may one day accuse me of, well, you're just being a right-wing shill. No. I listen to all of their crap. It's just right now, the Democrats are being so overt. They're not even trying to hide what they're doing anymore. They're not even trying. They're saying the quiet part out loud constantly now. And they don't care. They just don't care. Because they've got when you can't go, I got into a discussion not too long ago. A guy told me, we're discussing CRT. Started off discussing DeSantis and book banning, yada, yada, yada. And it came down to, well, they don't teach CRT in elementary and junior highs. Yes, they do. Here's the videos showing where the teachers are bragging about it. Teachers are bragging about how they bring CRT. Teachers are bragging about how they are bringing this stuff up in the classroom. Teachers in Texas bragging about how they're just going to ignore the law in Texas. And every one of these teachers should be fired for doing so. Well, show me where the CRT school book is. Where's the handbook that they give these kids? You don't have to have the book in front of you to teach it. You don't have to give the book to the children for you to teach it to them. You teach it to them in what you do on a day-to-day basis. And then when they grow up, you have people like this. Oh, I've got those videos too, Johnny. I gave this person a link to about 20 different videos. And that's only because that was all the room I had. So yeah, no, these people are stupid. They think we're stupid with what we're doing. They think we're stupid in it. They really and truly do. And I just get shocked. I can't be shocked anymore with what they do. Because there is no more being shocked about it. You just sit here and shake your head. When are other people going to? Why do I waste my time? Because of like with what my sister the other day. All right, Johnny. She was going to vote no on the Ohio Amendment 1. And at the end of my discussing it with her and reading the bill out to her and such, because all she had gone by is what she had been told in the 5-minute snippets in the evening news and the ads, the anti ads being ran. In 30 minutes, she said, I'm going to look some more into this and I'll probably be voting for it now. So, yeah, I mean, there's always that chance that you will change somebody's mind. And maybe if you don't change their mind right then and there, maybe you'll plant the seed that will eventually change their mind. Johnny, unfortunately, I've not been able to drink any whiskey in a while. I've got to plan a day where I have to go 24 hours without any of my pills before so that I can drink some whiskey at night. So that's, and then the next day, then what am I doing the next day? So I've got to figure out a 48 to 72 hour schedule on whether before I have any alcohol in my system. And that sucks because I've still got some of that good Japanese whiskey sitting in my counter that I want to get into. Let's see. I'm not going to get into it today. I'm going to get into it tomorrow. Plant the seed, he says. Yeah, hey, there's always that chance, There's always that chance I can plant that seed and eventually somebody will, whether or not they've realized that I'm the one that made them change their mind. Eventually, they'll grow up and change their mind. So, all right, a little bit of housekeeping. I think it's Thursday. Let me look at my calendar here. Yeah, Thursday morning I will not be here. There will be no stream Wednesday or Thursday. Well, maybe you might get an exhausted stream out of me Wednesday since I can't stream Thursday. Or maybe a late stream on Thursday. I don't know. Thursday's going to be iffy one way or another. Wednesday's going to be iffy one way or another, as it usually is. All right. But we'll definitely be here tomorrow and Friday for the Friday Fun stream. So, Sean, those aren't the kind of those seeds are highly reserved. Hey, Roots, what you up to? Well, hey, Roots, you can always go back and listen to the stream afterwards. So, but it is good to see you. No, no. You do need to log on tomorrow, Johnny, because I've got one with a general that testifying before Congress. I've got that lined up for tomorrow. An Air Force general. And I'm also looking at a couple of things from MTG for tomorrow. Okay. And I've got some good ones for tomorrow. So then, of course, all the, yeah, well, really, Sean, a real general embarrassment. Ooh, working on a mini bike. Nice. So, but everybody, y'all have a good day. Enjoy yourselves. Relax, rewind. Be with the ones you love, of course, and love the ones that you're with. Later, all.